Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
And we're going to continue talking about amber in our program for today. Remember, we talked about it last time. Amber is a precious stone that comes from the ground, but it's not a mineral, okay? It's not a mineral like diamonds or rubies, emeralds, sapphires, opals, etc., etc. It's actually organic. It's biological. Like a pearl, it comes from natural sources. In the case of amber, it comes from trees, or more specifically, tree resin.
Yeah, so it starts out as a sticky fluid, and then over millions of years it hardens into what we now know as amber. But between coming out or being secreted as that liquid and actually being mined as a gem, it might have some little insects or animals that get caught in it. And so over the long span of time that it develops into a real gem, other things will get stuck in that sticky resin. And so it's really an interesting looking gem. It's got a lot of visual interest. And it's been around for a long time. So it requires mining, which hurts our earth. A lot of the minerals that are mined these days, especially those used for batteries and solar panels, it really hurts the earth, kind of destroys it.
But in any case, we'll continue talking about amber in today's lesson. There is a lot more to learn about amber, so let's do that right now. Let's talk about gold from trees, the story of amber. Here's our lesson read from top to bottom.
Since amber is a precious substance with appealing color variations and patterns, it should come as no surprise to learn that it's a beloved material in jewelry making. In fact, humans have been turning amber into jewelry, both simple and elaborate, since the end of the Stone Age. Some of the largest archaeological finds of amber jewelry have been in coastal northern Europe. However, amber can be found all over the world. In the Dominican Republic, there is even an exceptional kind of blue amber. In some parts of the world, amber is sought after not just for its beauty, but also for its medicinal properties. In the past, people in Europe and the Middle East found amber indispensable as a way to relieve stomach and joint pain. In traditional Chinese medicine, it's still ground up and mixed with other ingredients to treat a variety of ailments. Amber is one of the few things that is more valuable when it is imperfect. Amber itself is a fossil, as it is ancient organic material that has been preserved in stone. However, when it has additional organic objects in it, researchers can examine them in a laboratory to learn even more about the prehistoric world in which the amber began to form. As enthusiasm for amber is high, there is an active market for fake amber. To tell if amber is real, check whether it floats in salt water. The rubbing test is also quick and effective. When it's rubbed against warm skin, a smell of pine can be detected. The combination of beauty and this constant, subtle reminder of ancient life make amber something truly magnificent.
Okay, everybody, let's get to it. Let's discuss the contents of today's lesson. So today, of course, we're talking about gold from trees. It's not really gold in the sense that it is the gold element, but in any case, it's something valuable that comes from trees, and this is the story of amber. Now, since amber is a precious substance with appealing color variations and patterns, it should come as no surprise to learn that it's a beloved material in jewelry making. So since amber is a precious substance because it is precious, because it's valuable, well, it's got all these different kinds of color variations and patterns. Just like all sorts of gemstones, they come in different colors, and you need to do some research as to which ones are more attractive, which ones are more common, which ones are more valuable, etc. And they don't just come in that kind of orange color. There are different color variations or different changes in color, and they also have different patterns. And so because of this, it should not be surprising to learn that it's really a beloved material in jewelry making. Beloved here could also be read as beloved, which means people just love to use it for this purpose. You could talk about your beloved poodle, for example. Oh, my beloved poodle got run over by a large cement truck yesterday. I'm so sad.
Oh, I don't like poodles, so
That's why I said a cement truck,
So I don't feel so bad. Sorry, you poodle owners out there. Yeah, most people have something that they consider to be beloved or beloved. It's usually a pet, a toy that you grew up with as a child, like a stuffed animal, or maybe your favorite doll. Who knows? But it is considered to be a beloved or beloved material, especially for jewelry and jewelry makers and jewelry making. So, in fact, it says humans have been turning amber into jewelry for a long time. There are simple pieces and there are more elaborate pieces with more details to them. They look a lot more complicated. They probably cost more too. And this has all been going on, the making of jewelry using amber, since the end of the Stone Age. So it really is a gem that's been around for a long time, you could say.
Exactly. And of course, that's what happens when you find pretty rocks in the ground. You pretty much want to turn them into jewelry. And so people have been doing that for a long time. Simple kinds of jewelry and elaborate ones, say in, crowns or things like that, bracelets or whatever. And some of the largest archaeological finds of amber jewelry have been in coastal northern Europe. Archaeology refers to the study of old things, especially when you dig things out of the ground. So, of course, if you're talking about finding amber in ancient civilizations, you'd see these archaeological finds or these archaeological sites. These happened in coastal northern Europe, so along the coast, say in Denmark or Sweden or France or whatever. However, amber can be found all over the world. In the Dominican Republic, for example, there is even an exceptional kind of blue amber. So that's an interesting color there. It's exceptional.
Yeah.
If something's exceptional, it just doesn't follow the regular rule or tendency. For example, diamonds are usually clear, but you might find an exceptional diamond that is blue in color or is red in color.
That's true.
That's an exception. It's not following the regular rule.
Yeah. Now, I've never seen the blue amber. That would be kind of cool. If you look up amber on the internet, which I did, they'll show you kind of pictures of the different colors. Comes in a lot of different shades. But I think I'd like the blue amber. Now, in some parts of the world, amber is sought after not just for its beauty, but also for its medicinal properties. That's interesting, isn't it? We're going to find out more about that. But you don't just wear it. You can actually use it to heal your body from the inside. Medicinal just means some sort of medicine, a medicine that is being used, or some sort of substance that's being used as medicine. If you can go natural, I would try that first these days, Sometimes we get prescriptions from our doctors that cause other problems to come up. The side effects are worse. But for some of these natural remedies, they've proven to be really good. Now, what does properties mean, Tom?
Properties, that just means characteristics or qualities. And indeed, amber might be looked at as being valuable for people who suffer from some kind of illness or something. So it has medicinal properties. It has characteristics that are medical in nature, or they have to do with medicine. Basically, they have some medical applications.
Yeah.
Medicinal means having to do with medicine or liquids and pills and things like that you take if you're sick. So it has medicinal properties. It could actually help people if they're sick. And in the past, people in Europe and the Middle East found amber indispensable as a way to relieve stomach and joint pain. Now, if something is indispensable, that means you cannot cannot do without it. You need to have it. So people who lived in Europe and the Middle East in the past, many years ago, thought it was necessary to use it if you had stomach or joint pain. You wanted to relieve that pain. If you relieve something, you just lessen the severity of it, or you get rid of it altogether. Like aspirin is a common pain reliever. That is the noun form, but here relieve is the verb.
Right. So this sounds pretty cool. I know a lot of elderly people have joint pain. Just happens as you age. You lose some of the cartilage in your joints, and it just feels like bone is rubbing against bone. So it might be a thing to try if you're suffering from joint pain. And to relieve stomach pain, you just need to find a Chinese medicine doctor or shop that will have some of this amber ground up. It seems like a waste to grind up something so beautiful, but if it really helps people release some of the pain they're in, I think that's awesome. I wonder how expensive it is, though. I would think it's kind of expensive if you get it as something to use medicinally or as medicine. So what they do is they grind it up and then they mix it with other ingredients, and this can treat a variety of ailments. Ailments is just... I always look at ailments, Tom, and think of it as a kind of an old-fashioned word. We don't use that much anymore, but you will hear it, especially in TV shows or in movies that are set back in like the 1800s, 1700s. It just means an illness, and typically it's a minor one. It's not a major one that will kill you.
Right, you might have, a wart or something that's a minor ailment, and maybe this particular substance could help you with your warts. Okay, that brings us to the end of the first part of our lesson for today. Let's take a break and listen to our Chinese teacher.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们昨天带大家看看琥珀是怎么样形成的，然后怎么样开采。不过今天要来看看琥珀有哪一些用途呢？第一个用途当然就是因为它很漂亮啊，所以很多人都会收集它来用作为珠宝 jewelry。我们在第一段的第一句第一个字看到的 since， 在这里就不是字从哦，而是表示原因，因为它有诱人的色泽变化，还有珍贵的一些物质在里面，所以我们大家都知道当成珠宝，这就一点也不令人惊讶啦。同样在第一段第一句逗点之后其实是一个句型哦。如果我们要特别说某一件事情不让人感到惊讶，大家都很熟知，大家都觉得顺理成章，你可以说 It should come as no surprise to learn that 再加上完整子句。事实上啊，其实真的是从石器时代的末期以来，人类就一直把琥珀制作成为珠宝，很简单也很精致，两种的形式都有。我们在第二句话当中破折号之后看到的 since 在这里则真的是表示时间自从。那你说我们要怎么判断呢？其实啊，我们的判断完全要根据文意的方式，因为在第二句话当中破折号之后的 since 加的是一个时间，而我们看到句子有一个现在完成式 have been turning amber into jewelry， 所以我们可以判断这里的 since 是自从石器时代一直到现在为止。好，那到底琥珀的首饰我们是怎么样发现它从石器时代末期人类就已经开始把它制作成珠宝呢？其实当时考古的发现主要是在北欧沿海地区，不过现在琥珀因为世界各地都可以找得到，例如在多米尼加共和国还有一种很特殊的蓝琥珀呢。第二种用途在第二段当中提出是一种医疗的用途，因为琥珀虽然很美丽，但其实它本身有药用的特性哦，所以有时候啊，大家去收集琥珀不是为了要当成珠宝。在第二段的第一句我们看到一个很重要的叫做 seek after， 这里我们看到被动，琥珀被大家搜寻，也就是说琥珀是非常热门欢迎的。特别注意一下 seek 这个动词 S-E-E-K 是它的动词原形，而它的过去式跟过去分词是 sought， 也就是文章当中看到 S-O-U-G-H-T。 不过在同样这句话当中也有一个对等的连接词片语叫做 not only but also， 不过这个 only 可以换成 just， 或者是 merely M-E-R-E-L-Y， 不止 A， 而且 B， 在这个句子当中，后面的 for 表示原因，不只是因为美丽，而是因为它有一些药用的特性。例如说，在过去欧洲跟中东的地方，大家会发现琥珀可以缓解胃痛 stomach， 或者是关节疼痛 joint pain。不过在接下来的这句话，我们看到第二句当中有看到一个缓解这个动词叫做 relieve pain。 而在传统的 Chinese medicine， 传统的中药当中，这个琥珀就会混合磨碎跟其他的中药一起来治疗一些轻微的疾病。在第二段最后一句，我们特别把这个所谓的轻微的疾病、轻微的不适 ailment 这个字也算是生活常见的字汇哦。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We will now continue with our lesson. Again, we're talking about amber today. And remember, there are many different kinds of amber in the world. They've got variances in the substance and the colors and the patterns and the hardness, I suppose. And there's even a blue amber from the Dominican Republic. It's an exceptional kind of blue amber. And also, not just as a precious stone, amber is sought after for its medicinal properties. Some people use it to cure their illnesses, to take care of their ailments. For example, in the Middle East and Europe, way back when, it was indispensable in relieving stomach and joint pain, probably for rich people. And if they had a lot of money, they could afford to grind this up and use it to fix their problems, even though cheaper medicine probably would have worked. But of course, it's a way to brag to your friends that you spent all this money on a particular cure. But in any case, that's another matter. Let's move on now to the next paragraph here. It says, amber is one of the few things that is more valuable when it is imperfect. So sometimes, of course, when you go shopping for a diamond, you want to buy a diamond that doesn't have a lot of flaws in it. So the jeweler will have this special kind of scope that they'll use to look at the diamond, and they'll look for flaws inside the diamond. And of course, the diamond is more valuable if it has fewer or no flaws in it.
Yeah, but it's just the opposite for amber. Amber itself is a fossil. Remember what a fossil is? It's the remains or impression of some sort of organism that lived prehistorically, and it's preserved in something that looks like a rock or a stone. It's been petrified. So it's very different from a diamond because it actually has biological material in it, which is kind of fun. But you want it to be imperfect, unlike a diamond. So if it's imperfect, it probably costs a lot more. It's more valuable, probably sought after a lot more if it has an interesting look or thread running through it. It says here, however, when it has additional organic objects in it, we're talking about the amber, researchers can examine them in a laboratory to learn even more about the prehistoric world in which the amber began to form. It's like taking one of those snapshots and going back in time and seeing what you can discover about what animals or organisms were alive when that amber was starting to form. Now, if you're working in a laboratory or lab, we say lab most of the time. Laboratory is so long. If you're working in a lab, you're probably a scientist or someone who is studying to be a scientist. If you're in high school, you probably have chemistry class. You have lab after school or during school where you put different chemicals together, or maybe you dissect a frog. We had to do that in my chemistry class. Well, you're probably going to be doing it in a laboratory.
Indeed, and researchers can examine amber in a laboratory to learn more about the prehistoric world in which the amber began to form or from where the amber came. And prehistoric just means before history. History just refers to when people started to write things down. But to me, prehistoric just means a really, really long time ago. So basically, amber can tell us about the world and how it was millions of years ago, what the atmosphere was like, etc., etc. Was it hot? Was it cold? You can tell from the clues that are left in the amber. Now, here's our final paragraph for today. It says, as enthusiasm for amber is high, there is an active market for fake amber. Oh, you got to be careful there. Of course, this happens all the time. When something is very popular, other people are trying to figure out ways to make some money by selling you bogus amber or fake amber. So yes, indeed, there is an active market for fake amber. So you gotta know what you're doing. Don't be swindled by someone trying to sell you amber. They'll be trying to pass it off as genuine.
Oh, yeah, it's just an opportunity for more scam artists to scam someone, to trick them into believing something is real when it's fake. You guys have all been on the streets and have seen, the watches that are for sale or the LV bags, and they're not real because they cost like, $10 US. They're not real. But sometimes if you're not an expert in something like a gemstone or a gem, I couldn't tell if it's real or not. I'm not an expert. So be careful. And our author here, Kai, has some suggestions for you to check and see if that amber is indeed real or fake. You can check whether it floats in salt water. That's just one test you can do. That one's pretty easy to carry that one out. But it's the next one that fascinates me. The next one is a rubbing test. So if you rub something, you move something back and forth. This rubbing test is quick and effective. It works. It's easy to do. When you rub that amber against warm skin, suddenly this fragrance will emerge. A smell of pine can be detected. Again, the resin comes from pine trees. Pine trees are those that we use for Christmas trees. I love pine trees. I love the smell. And suddenly, if you just rub this really ancient rock, gemstone, remember it's a fossil, on your skin, if you can smell pine, bingo, it's real.
Supposedly, people who are making fake amber may try to sneak the smell of pine in there.
Oh, they're really good fakers. Okay.
Right, or to figure out a way to make it float. There might be other ways to figure out if the amber is genuine or not, but these are some suggestions here from our writer. Yeah, it might float. If it's real, and it also will give off the smell of pine if you rub it against warm skin. Now, the combination of beauty and this constant subtle reminder of ancient life make amber something truly magnificent. So we've got a combination of beauty. It is beautiful. It's pretty cool to look at. So we're combining that or having it together with this subtle reminder of ancient life. Okay, so it basically has scientific value and it has aesthetic value. It looks really cool, and also it has scientific significance. It's a subtle reminder of ancient life. If something's subtle, of course, it's not really clear. You don't really know much about it, or at least you can't notice it. Some people are not very good with subtlety. For example, sometimes women can't be direct with their boyfriend, so they have to be subtle to give him a little hint or a clue as to what she wants, but a lot of times the guy just doesn't pick up on it. So again, that's what being subtle is. So yeah, it's a kind of a slight reminder, a small reminder of ancient life. And something is a reminder when it reminds us of something. You might have somebody give you a reminder to make sure that you make your doctor's appointment or something like that.
Yeah. And again, this reminder is being used as a noun, so it's a subtle reminder. You remind somebody to do something. It seems like that's what mom and dads are for. They're always reminding their kids, especially moms. Don't forget your homework. Take your backpack. Don't do this, do that. They're reminding them, giving them reminders. I don't have my mom around to remind me to do anything, so I put up little Post-its around my apartment to remind myself I need to do something. Sometimes life gets really busy, and you could do with some good reminders.Exactly.
So yes, indeed, it's a reminder of ancient life. And if you're lucky, you might even get a piece of amber with a bug inside it. It will be a bug that's been extinct for millions of years. That will certainly be something that you can show off to your friends. Okay, that brings us to the end of our discussion for today. Let's turn things over now to our Chinese teacher.
不过琥珀因为它是少数在不完美的时候反而更有价值的东西之一。为什么？因为琥珀本身其实就是一个化石，所以在第3段第一句，我们先看到一个限定用法关系子句，先行词是 one of the few things， 关带的 that 一直到句尾可以左右括号。那这里的 that 代表的是前面的很稀有的东西的其中的一种，因为它本身就是一种 fossil， 出现在第2句话，逗点前面 fossil 就是化石的意思。为什么它是化石呢？因为它是保存在石头里面很古老的有机的原料。在第2句逗点之后的 as 就表示原因 because。我们常说 as 可以当连接词，它的功用、它的意义有3种。第一个就是 when， 第2个就是 because， 第3则是如同好像。当然我们要看整句话的文意才能做判断。为什么琥珀会是化石呢？就是因为其实它是一个保存在石头里面的古老的有机原料，但是在 us 之后还带了一个限定用法关系子句先行词就是 ancient organic material， 而关系子句从 that 一直到句尾的地方。我们刚刚特别提到逗点之后的 us 其实也出现在第4段的第1句。第1句的第一个字的 as 也有 because since 表示原因的意思。好，那当然啦，如果说我们琥珀呢，它基本上是一个所谓的化石，然后里面又有其他的有机物体，在所谓的科学或者是历史当中就有它的意义存在，因为研究人员可以在实验室里面检验一下这个 amber 里面到底有什么东西，也可以了解琥珀开始形成的时候的那个史前世界。那这个史前世界就出现在第3段最后一句第3句后面的地方。我们看到有一个限定用法的关系子句，先行词是 the prehistoric world 史前世界，而后面的 in which 到句尾可以左右括号。我们没有看到逗点它是一个限定用法的关系子句，但是我们看到的是 in which， 言下之意，这里的文意就是在当时的史前世界当中 the amber began to form， 也就是琥珀开始形成。好，所以我们今天看到有3个用途，第一个就是当珠宝，第2个医疗用途可以治病第3对于科学研究来说是很有意义的。不过如果我们今天真的到路边或者是夜市或者是珠宝店去想要去买 amber 的时候，怎么样判断？其实琥珀它有一些特性，比如说第一个，它在盐水当中是可以漂浮的，这是我们第一种检视方式。第2呢，如果我们摩擦它，也可以快速的去检视它是不是真的琥珀，因为如果摩擦它的话，可以 detect， 可以闻到松木的气味。所以希望这2天的文章对大家是很有价值的我是安娜，我们下次见。
That's it for today. Thanks for joining us, and make sure you join us again next time for another edition of our program. And hopefully in the future, we'll talk some more about precious gems. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.